Hi guys, welcome back to my Safe Space Kitchen. Today I'm going to be making chili. Chili is super simple to make, believe it or not, and it is simply delicious. Now, if this is your first time coming across my page, thank you for stopping by, hitting that subscribe button. Now let's get into this recipe. As always, all ingredients will be listed in the description down below. So I went ahead and added a little bit of oil to my pot. You don't need a whole lot of oil because remember the ground beef and sausage, they have grease, they have fat in them. So don't overdo your oil. So the next thing is to just simply saute my onions and my sweet peppers. So I have a half of a green pepper and a half of a yellow pepper. This is what I had at hand, so that's what I'm gonna use, right? If you don't have peppers, you can omit it completely, but preferably you definitely want to add some peppers to it, right? Remember, we're building flavors and all of these things count. So I'm gonna go ahead and saute this for about a minute. I'll go ahead and just constantly kind of stir it and make sure that I'm not burning it. You definitely don't want to burn anything. That's not what we're gonna do. Anyway, so once it is nice and fragrant, just like so, it's cooking really well. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm simply going to go ahead and add some minced garlic and then continue to let this cook for another minute or a minute and a half. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to add my ground beef and my ground sausage. I use ground chuck beef, but this is not a big pot of chili. It's a small pot, so I use a pound of ground beef and a pound of sausage, and I go ahead and I mix this in really well. Excuse me. But what I do though is I make sure that I mix it in really well and separate my ground beef, right? And of course my sausage too. If you care for chunks, then you don't want to overmix it, right? But I don't, so I take my time to really mix it in to make sure that it is nice and separated. There I added some herbs that I had in my refrigerator. I didn't want it to go bad, so I added some sage and some thyme and some bay leaf. It's completely optional, you don't need it, but I added it anyway. So my meat has been cooking on medium heat for about 10 minutes and it's looking good. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add some seasonings to my meat. So on my little plate, I have some red pepper, some chili pepper, some homemade all-purpose seasoning that I make myself. Completely optional, you don't need it. And I have some paprika as well. I pour all of that in there. Then I add some garlic powder and some onion powder. Exact measurements will be listed in the description down below. Then I go ahead and mix this in with my beef really well and make sure it is nice and well blended in there. So the next thing that I'm going to do is to add my tomato. So this is a diced tomato. I get this tomato from Aldi. It has basil, oregano, and garlic, and it is really good. I love this tomato. So I'm gonna go ahead and blend it. Even though it's diced, you can pour it in there just like so, strain it and pour it in there. But I don't like that chunky feel, so I go ahead and I blend mine. So like I said, you definitely can just rinse it and just pour that in there if you don't mind, but I do. So I just blend it and then I rinse my blender a little bit and pour that water in here as well, and then just give my tomato and my beef a nice mix to make sure it is nice and well incorporated, just like so. And then the next thing is to add my tomato paste. I am very generous with my tomato paste. As you can see, I do 2 heaping tablespoons, and then I mix this to make sure that it is also nice and well incorporated. So my tomato is nice and well mixed with my meat. So the next thing that I'm going to do is add my Lipton beefy onion soup mix. I'm going to go ahead and I added 1 tablespoon and then another teaspoon, and then I tasted it first. Okay, so I went ahead and added another teaspoon and I mixed it in really well to make sure it was nice and well mixed, and I tasted it. Once I tasted it, I noticed that it was not enough, that I could use more. Then I added the rest that was in the pack. I did this because I did not want to overpower my chili with this particular seasoning. So I did not, do it all at once. I kind of did it gradually, and in the end it came together beautifully. Again, the worst thing that you would do is to kind of overdo your food with seasonings and salt. It's always make sure that you are balancing everything out. Okay, so once I mix all that in there, I go ahead and add my beef broth. Again, with my beef broth, I added 2 cups first, and I mixed it in there really well. Depending on how much liquid you want, if you want like a loose texture, then you want to add a lot more. So once I added my beef broth, I added my rinsed kidney beans and my rinsed black beans. Then I noticed that my beans was not enough. So, I mean, you know, if you don't want a lot of beans, then definitely leave it as it is. But if you want a lot of beans, then you're gonna have to add a little bit more. So I went ahead and added another can of my kidney beans, and I added another cup of my beef broth. Okay, and this is the consistency that I want. Again, like I said, depending on how much, the amount of liquid that you want, you know, kind of do the math and just don't overdo it, but definitely cook it to your preference. Okay, so I go ahead and lower my heat and cover this up and let this cook for an hour on super low heat, though, very low heat. Don't even put it on medium, just cook it on low heat. So after an hour of cooking my chili on low heat, it is looking really good. A lot of the water has evaporated. It has thickened up to a very beautiful consistency, as you can see. One thing that I want to say though is while my chili cooked on low heat for an hour, I was checking up on my chili every 15 minutes to make sure that the chili, you know, my sauce does not stick to the bottom of the pot, right? So I was giving it a stir every now and then to make sure that it was cooking evenly. So that's something that you definitely want to do. You don't want to just cover it up for an hour and don't check up on it. You will definitely burn the food. So I go ahead and give this a taste test again, and then this is the time that you want to make that adjustment, right? So this is your last chance to kind of add the rest of your seasonings if you have anything else that you want to add, or kind of just make that adjustment. So what you saw there is I added 1/4 of a teaspoon of beef bouillon, and that's all that I needed. If you don't care for beef bouillon, use 1/4 of salt. If you don't care for it, don't do it at all, and it probably will still taste fine. I just wanted to add that just to up all of the flavors, and that's exactly what that did. So I let that cook for another 5 minutes or so on low heat, and this is what I have. This is what it looks like, and this is my perfect chili. Okay, you can't tell me this does not look good. Okay, it looks really good. So all my Ghanaians that are watching this and wondering if you like bean stew, chili is very close to bean stew, and it's really good. You should give it a try. I promise you, you're gonna love it. Okay, so today I'm gonna be having my chili with some sour cream, some cheese, and some jalapeno, just as you see it here. You can have it with on your hot dog or some chips, or whatever it is that you want to pair with, some rice if you want. But yeah, this is the end of this video, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you are new here and you enjoyed this video, hit on that subscribe button and help a girl grow her channel. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I truly appreciate your time and your support. And so until next time, you guys, I'll see you in my next video.